Shaykh Abdullah said that we have to think about this condition of the people on the ship. What is the condition of the passengers on the ship? If you look at the condition, it's pretty clear. We have wars, we have fighting, the passengers are attacking each other, there's a lot of selfishness, and if you look, he said, these are not skirmishes like the past when people had very primitive weapons, swords and spears that they could throw at each other. Now we're looking at wars that have massive destructive capacity, and large numbers of people are affected by this. And so these are very frightening. He said also, if you look at the passengers on the ship, they're not taking care of the ship. They're polluting. Even the air that they breathe, they're affecting the air that they breathe. And he said that also the passengers are complaining about the other passengers. Everybody is selfish. They're complaining about organized crime on the ship. There's criminal activity and people stealing from other passengers and doing things. And he said, so how then do we get this ship in this condition to some safe port? How do we take it to a safe port? And he said, if we look, and he said that wisdom is the lost possession of the believer. The Prophet ﷺ said that wisdom is the property of the believer. There's a German scientist and philosopher, Albert Einstein, who said that civilization is really a sickness, and the healers of that sickness are the philosophers. And he said that he would add to that they're the people of wisdom, the people who have wisdom. Those are the people that need to be listened to. We need to listen to. And he said, but first you have to diagnose the disease itself and understand what the disease is. And then you have to offer a treatment plan for the disease and to offer some solutions to these problems. It's not simply enough to know. If we look at what the disease is, we can use a metaphor that's taken from one of the Arab poets who said, he told us to ponder the worm, the silkworm. The silkworm creates silk by creating the silk around itself, and the very thing that it makes, it destroys itself. And he said this, in essence, is what the human being is doing. The very things that he is making are the things that are destroying him. So we've become like the silkworm. And he said this is very clear also in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Rum says that corruption and fasad has many, many meanings. Pollution is a meaning of fasad. There are many meanings for the word fasad in Arabic, but corruption, anything that is against what is sound or wholesome. So it's the unwholesomeness, corruption, pollution has manifested on the land and in the seas. And then it says, bima kasabat aydin nas. And the ba, he said, is a type of preposition in Arabic that's used for causation. So it's a causative preposition. So it's saying because, and then Allah uses a relative pronoun because of what they were doing. So it's because of what they were doing. This is why these things are happening. So it's actually from the human being. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we're not the only ones here. So we have, even though we're doing all these things, we're harming other species that have a right to be here and are here for a purpose. Allah says in the Quran that there's no creature in the earth nor bird in the heaven except that they are also communities like unto you. They have communities. And he said that the Prophet ﷺ praised the frogs because the frogs are the animals that do the most tasbih. And so the Prophet loved the frogs. And he said now in his country, when it used to rain, you would hear the frogs. And he said now it rains and you don't hear frogs anymore. And he's saying, you know, what's happening to the frogs? These are all things that we should be concerned about, the condition of the human being. what's happening. And he said perhaps we can use as a starting point what Dr. Nassif was talking about earlier. We have to look at ourselves. What's happened to ourselves? What's wrong with ourselves? We have to return to ourselves and look into the condition of our spiritual state, our mental state, also our material state, and the things that we desire. All of these things need to be examined.